A very good morning. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar. We're really glad to introduce Zoho People to you. My name is Aarti Elizabeth. Yes, I'm the one in the picture there. And we also have here with me my colleague Ishwar, and he will be showing you how to set up your Zoho People account for your organization. Now, let me remind you here that you are in the listen only mode. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat window. It's the little question box that you can see on your screen, and we will be happy to answer them for you at the end of the session. So, well, we already know Zoho. Zoho has emerged as a leader in cloud services for small and medium businesses. We have been here in the business of creating beautiful handcrafted software for the last 17 years. And here at Zoho, we believe that our most important asset is our people. We have a wide suite of apps for all your organizational needs. As you can see, we have the sales app, the marketing apps, apps for accounting, and of course, the HR apps. Now, before we begin, I'm going to ask you to take a look at this. Now, what you see in front of you is the first Nokia phone. Well, I remember having it. It's old, it's traditional, and for now it's outdated. Now, take a look at this. I'm sure you all recognize it. This is one of the latest phones today, and it has a pleasing and intuitive UI. Now think about it. Would you use the old Nokia phone today? Well, I sure wouldn't. Now, why do you think these were reshaped over time? The answer is pretty clear. Simplicity, ease of use, and most importantly, its focus on user experience. HR activities are still sometimes traditionally managed. We use paper forms for onboarding. We still send emails back and forth for time off and leave applications. And we still use manual methods and Excel sheets for performance and for our timesheets. Now, think about it. Managing activities this way, it's very similar to using an old, outdated Nokia phone. Now, what if there is this system to automate all your HR processes? Well, and that is why we give to you Zoho People. With its clear and simple UI, and of course, its extensive features, it makes HR management a breeze. In Zoho People, we have modules to address every aspect of HR management. For your people and organization, we have the centralized employee database and your self-service options. For time management, we have the attendance, the time off, and the timesheets. For employee collaboration, we have instant feeds and notifications. And underlying it all, we have the automation tools, checklists, workflows, reminders, email alerts, and multi-level approvals are just a few. Now, since the world is on the move, we believe that we should be too. And that is why we have our Zoho People mobile app for Android and iOS. Now, as I had already mentioned, the most important asset in any organization, and I'm sure in yours too, is your people. Now, managing people and corresponding records can be difficult and time consuming. With Zoho People, you can give your employees the power to manage their own data. With the Zoho People self-service option, your employees can directly edit their profile information, apply for time off and other vacation, add jobs, log time, submit their timesheets, and of course, they have access to all the reports that include the attendance, time off, and your timesheets. Zoho People's centralized employee management system lets you manage all your employee information and other benefit programs from a single location. We have this powerful search toolbar that is provided for you at the top right corner of your dashboard. You can search or locate an employee based on the tags provided or any other attribute. Take, for instance, his name, designation, location, and so on. The organization tree enables you or your employee to understand the hierarchy that exists in your organization. Now, this is typically how the employee profile will look in Zoho People. Now, you or your employee can just click on the Edit Profile to update or make changes to the employee details. Now, how would you generally apply for a casual leave or a time off? Mails will be sent back and forth, and sometimes the HR is not even in the loop. Now, this means there are complications when it comes to approvals, and of course, there's confusion in backtracking the leave of absence. So, what would you do? In Zoho People, everything from application, approval, and HR records are taken care of online. You can customize various leave types based on role, location, employee experience, gender, and marital status. All an employee has to do is simply log into his Zoho People portal and apply for leave or avail time off directly on the wall. Approvals from the respective manager can be given directly and will automatically appear in his feeds. The HR can easily get all the reports by just accessing the time off reports. With the department leave calendar, your employee can also get details of his colleague time off information. Listed here are just a few of the many configurations that are available to customize your employee leave types. The leave chart can be viewed based on the days or hours as configured. Now, here the employee can understand how much time off or leave has been taken and how much is left. With Zoho People's attendance management system, all your employee needs to do is just log into Zoho People and check in. Yes, it's really that simple. In case an external system is used, however, you can automatically import the attendance data and track all your records from here. So that makes it in a single central location. So this ensures better control over your employees' time and effective allocation of resources. Now, the best part is that you can also set IP restrictions to ensure control over where your employee marks his attendance from. Your employee can view his or her attendance on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. The time in and time out can also be tracked by clicking on each individual record. Zoho People's Time Tracker is a powerful yet simple and easy to use time management software. This online tool helps you record and keep track of your employee's time wherever he logs in from, and also at any given point of time. You can regularly monitor the efficiency of your team and the usage of time, thus improving your team's collaboration and productivity. Now, what's great about the Zoho People Time Tracker is that when a job is added, you can associate a client from the accounts or contacts module of your Zoho CRM. Once a job is assigned, an employee logs in time, and finally, a timesheet is created. Now, you can ensure that the timesheet submitted goes through not just one, but multiple and multi level approvals. And only when approved will the timesheet be sent for payroll or in certain cases for billing. Now let me show you how it looks. So this is how a job is created. Just enter the job name. You can choose a client from the list that you had predefined or from your Zoho CRM and assign it to your employee. Now once the time is logged in and the timesheet is created, if configured, the timesheets will go for approval. Now you can see on the right hand corner that approvals here are multi-level. Now this is really interesting. When an HR sends out an email to the entire organization, this is a constant question in his or her mind. Did they get it? Well, if they did they even read it? Now let's say there's a power outage in your New York office, but none of your other branches are affected. How would you pass on the information only to those employees? Or say, for instance, tomorrow is a holiday on account of a labor strike. How will you inform and ensure that all your employees get the message? With Zoho People, we'll show you how it's done. With the help of feeds and notifications, you can post an announcement to your entire organization or a specific group of people or even to a single user, and an immediate notification will be sent out. Now, this ensures that your employee are always on top of things. This is how the feeds will appear on your dashboard. You can post a message to a single user or to your entire department. Your employees can apply for leave or time off, add jobs, and log time directly on the wall. I'm sure Ishwar will be showing you how it's done in the demo. So this is just maybe like a little preview to it. So what do you think is the best part of feeds? It facilitates collaboration. Collaboration helps managers and employees coordinate and work together. And this results in faster decision making. Now let me show you how it looks in Zoho People. So here the manager Charles Stones has just approved the casual leave of his subordinate Jasmine. Well, it could stop here, but it doesn't. He also informs another employee of Jasmine's leave and plans work accordingly. So as you can see here, discussions are streamlined and recorded. So this avoids any kind of confusion. What makes Zoho People different from any other software, HR software, is that we have seamless automation. In fact, Zoho People is all about automation. And trust me when I say this, automation makes your life easier. With Zoho People, you can configure mail alerts, create checklists, schedule reminders, set multi-level approvals, and integrate with any third-party APIs. Let me show you how. So, you can improve your workflow with automatic email alerts and be up to date at all times. Get instant notifications when specific actions such as requests, status updates, edits, and approvals are executed. Checklists help you allocate work and make sure everything that needs to be done just gets done. It's that easy. You can track your tasks and schedule time to be more efficient and productive. Multi-level approvals are significant in organizations that follow a certain hierarchy. Now, this process enables you to approve or reject records at multi-levels based on the structure of your organization. You can also configure more than one approver for a single form as per your requirements. With the Zoho People reminders, you can take timely action for important events. Now, this includes reminders for probation reviews, appraisals, birthdays, date of hires, and much more. Basically, anything that you can think of, it can be automated with Zoho People. You can also create and customize your own pre written reminder templates and get notified automatically. Well, we did promise you automation. Now, did you know this? Did you know that two-thirds of the entire workforce prefers to work from home in 2016? In the US alone, it is forecasted that 43% of the workforce will work from home or remote locations by next year. So, to make your HR management mobile, we give you the Zoho People mobile app. So, you could work from anywhere, but your HR activities are taken care of. You can find, connect, and collaborate with your colleagues on the go with the fully functional mobile employee directory. You can also check in and check out your attendance directly from your mobile phone at your convenience. And not just that, we ensure security. You can set IP restrictions to ensure control over where and when your employee clocks in. Your employee can also log time and apply for time off directly through the mobile phone. So these are screenshots of the new and updated mobile app. You can check in and check out your attendance. You can look up your colleague information. You can log in time for your timesheets. And you can apply for leave and time off. This is available for both iOS and Android. Before we come to the end of the overview, this is something I would like to share with you. Initially, HR management was just a system of record. It has now evolved from being an ERP type system to a system which is directly used by employees. In other words, it's a system of engagement that makes the life of an HR easier. Now, this brings us to the end of the overview. Ishwar here will now show you how to set up your organization and customize all your forms in your Zoho People account. Over to you, Ishwar.
Thank you, Aarti. That was a lovely introduction to Zoho People. Good morning. I'm Ishwar, and now I'm going to show you a short demo on how to set up your Zoho People account. To start with, as you can see on the screen, and also as Aarti mentioned, this is the dashboard or the feeds page where any user would land up once they log into Zoho People. A user with minimum permissions can also do their day-to-day activities from this page itself, like posting a comment or sharing their ideas with their users or department, applying for leave or time off, add job, and also logging time for the timesheets. Apart from this, we do have few more widgets like attendance widget to mark the check-in and check-out to mark the attendance. We have birthday buddies, we have new hires, we have favorites, and we have department members to see the people in our department. And also we have announcements. However, if you want to customize this dashboard, you can always click on the settings button and you can check or uncheck the widgets that you want and that you do not want to see on your dashboard. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to set up your Zoho People account. For that, we click on Setup on the top right. Okay, now the first thing that we want to do once we sign up to Zoho People is to update our company details. For that, we click on Company Settings on the left. Here you can update your company logo, you can update your company name, your website address, the contact person, contact number, and the admin email address and the super administrator would be populated with the email address of the person who has signed up with Zoho People. Also, you can update your address details, your email settings, your locale settings to set your country and time zone, the display settings, the chat settings, and the photo settings. Once that is done, click on update. Now, next thing that we want to do is to create our own departments. For that, we click on manage department on the top and we will add a department. Here, give the department name, mail alias, and the department lead's name, and click on save. Once we click on save, you would see the list of all the departments here. Similarly, you can also manage designations, locations, and also give IP restrictions for attendance or for any other modules. The next and the most important thing that we want to do now is to add users. Okay, now in Zoho People, we have two kinds of users. One is the active user who will have access to Zoho People and can update their details. The other one would be the non-users who would not have access to Zoho People, but the administrators would be updating the details. To add the users, we click on Add on the top right. We give the basic details like the employee ID, first name, last name, and the email ID. Once we click on Save, an email would be triggered to the concerned email address, which once the employee accepts would be a part of your organization. Similarly, you can also add the non-user with just the employee ID and the first name. Since they would not have access to Zoho People, we would not require the email ID. Once the employee accepts the invitation, they would be listed under the Login Enable tab. However, in case if any employee has not accepted the invitation, then we can click on the drop down and select Invited. Here you would see the entire list of the employees who have not accepted the invitation as of now. Now, in case if you have a lot of employees listed in your Excel sheet, then you can always import them through an Excel or a CSV file to Zoho People. Just browse the file from your computer and click on Import File. That would do. But make sure that the file format is an XLS or CSV file. Also, you can import the employees from your Zoho Mail account and also your GApp account. Okay, now once the employee logs into Zoho People, the first thing that they're going to do is to update their details under Self-Service Portal. Self-Service Portal is nothing but an employee form, which can be customized as per our needs. If you think that there are few fields which you do not want, and if you want to add more fields as well, we can do that. To customize the form, we click on Setup on the top right again, and we click on Forms and Tabs. Here you would see the entire list of the forms that we have given and also the forms that you have created. Now, since we are going to customize the employee form, we are going to click on the employee. Here you would see the same fields that you saw in the self-service area. So if you think, let's say for example, you do not want the formula field that you can see on the right. So what I do is I move my mouse there and I click on delete this field. Once I click on delete, the field gets deleted. Similarly, you can also add the fields to the drag and drop option, and you can drag any field from the top and you can just add it to your form. Now, if you want to add a new form into your Zoho People account, that can also be done. For that, we click on Setup on the top and we click on Forms and Tabs again. We click on Add New Form on the top right. Here, first specify the form name. Let's say I'm going to create an asset form, so I give the name as asset form. And also specify the form link name if you want to. And also, you would get two choices. Either you can create a new form from the scratch or clone a form from the predefined forms that you have given. But since it's an asset form, I want to create from the scratch. So give a check there. And now at the bottom, you need to select under which tab do you want to list this form. I select assets and then I click on next. As you can see, once I click on next, I get a blank screen and I get all the options to add all the fields that I want. So I'll start with the single line field, which is usually used to add the names. So I drag and drop that and give the name as asset name. And if you want this field to be mandatory, then click on options and give a check on this is required field and click on done. Now this field becomes compulsory for the employees to fill up. Similarly, we have the email field where you can enter the email address. Then we have the number field where you can give the numbers or quantities. So I drag and drop that and I name it as quantity and I click on done. Also, we have the currency field, which is usually used to give the amount, which is required in my form. So I drag and drop that again. I give the name as amount. And by default, the currency type will be USD, but you can always change that to your requirement and you click on done. Also, we have the drop-down field, which is nothing but the pick list. We have date field, we have photo field, the decision box or the check boxes, the country field, the gender field, the multi-line, which is used for descriptions usually, the URL field, the decimals, the radio field, the date and time, and we have one more interesting field, which is the file upload field, which is used for uploading receipts usually. So I drag and drop that. And I click on done. Also, you can use this field to upload any sort of document. It can be a PDF form, it can be any image as well. And then also we have now add notes field, we have blood group field, we have phone field to upload our phone numbers. And also now we have a formula field, which is used to calculate simple calculations like multiplications or additions. I want this, so I drag and drop that and give the name as total amount. Now I want to calculate the quantity multiplied by the amount. And I click on done. Now there is an important and interesting field, which is the lookup field, which is nothing but similar to the VLOOKUP that we have in the Excel file. I'm sure you should be aware of it. Now this field fetches a record from one form to the other. In this case, I want to fetch the employee ID from the employee form to asset form. So I give the name as employee ID. I choose the display as drop down. And then, as I said, I want to import it from the employee form. So I choose the employee here. Now, once you choose the field that you want to fetch, you will also see the related fields where I want to see the first name and the last name as well for the employee ID. And as I said, it's an important field, so I make this as mandatory. And I click on done. So our form is created. So now let's try adding a record. We click on preview changes. And let's say I give the asset name as computer. I give the quantity as 2. The amount, say it's 200 USD. And you would see in the lookup field, the employee ID came up auto-populated with the login whoever has done. But in case I want to change it, say I choose Dennis. Then you would see once I choose then its employee ID, his first name and last name also came up. So now I click on save. And once I click on save, you would see the formula field coming up with the calculations. There you go. You see the total amount, which is 400 USD. Now, if you want to change any data from any of the fields, you can always move your mouse to that field and click on edit and change any data. Say I change from 2 to 3 and I click on save. So the data is changed and also the formula has been calculated. Now, since we have created this form, you would not want all the employees to look into all the forms. For that, we have permissions, which is configured as per the roles. So now I'll show you how to configure the permissions for individual roles. For that, we click on Setup on the top and we click on Permissions. Now you would see by default in Zoho People, we give four sort of roles, which would be the trainee, team member, manager, the director, and of course the administrator who would have access to everything. Now, if you want to create a new role, click on Add New Role. Let's say I give the name as supervisor and I want to clone this role with manager. So I choose manager from the drop down and I click on create. So the role has been created. Now let's configure permissions for this role. So what I do is I click on permissions for supervisor. And now I'm going to configure permissions for my asset form. So I choose the form from the drop down. There you go. Now, in Zoho People, we have two kind of permissions. One is the form permission and other one is the field permission. So now first, let's configure the form permission. So what I do is under view column, I click on edit for the supervisor. Now since it's a customized form, by default, all the roles would have only his or her records, which means that they can only view their own record. But since it's a supervisor, I want the supervisor to look into the subordinates data as well. So I give a check on that. And of course, I would want them to add records. So I give a check on that as well and I click on close. It gets auto saved. So the form permission has been created. Now, Zoho People goes a step forward and gives you the option to give field permission as well. To configure field permissions, I click on edit permission for the field column. Okay, now as I said before, asset form was a new form that we created. And for any new form, all the fields would be disabled. So first, let's enable that field. And now we can configure permissions as per our requirement. You can, and one more thing, since as I said before, employee ID field is an important field, so we must give an allow edit for that so that the employees can enter the details. I give a check on that, I click on close. So this is how we configure the permissions. And now, as I said before, in the beginning itself, we have given a lot of widgets on the top right. Remember the new hires, the favorites, the department members. Okay, now you can control this as well with permissions. For that, we have given the global access permission, where you can disable or enable the widgets that you want your roles to see as per your requirement. Say, for example, I do not want the search employee and the department tree to be viewed by the supervisor. So what I do is I disable that and it gets auto saved. So once the supervisor logs into their systems, they would not be able to see the search employee tab and the department tree. Now this concludes the webinar for Zoho People. The session will be open for the next 10 minutes. So if you have any questions, please drop them onto your question box.